What's going on, Graveyard Shift family? It is your fearless shift leader, Dalen, clocked in for another amazing story time. Y'all, something was brought back to my memory recently, and I thought it would be interesting for me to just share with you all. And this also gives you a little bit of history about me and backstory about my life and my family, and kind of maybe help you to understand my journey. So for y'all that don't know, my mother is a pastor. She's been the head pastor of our church since I was like in the 3rd grade. Literally the head pastor, right? But my mother before that was a school teacher. My mother used to model back in the day. All of this cool stuff. She was even a Jet Beauty of the Week. If I can find that picture, I'm gonna post it on here, y'all. But so yeah, that's funny. She gonna be mad. My mama gonna be mad. But I'm gonna love you. Every saint used to be a sinner, baby. It's okay. But no, look, y'all. My mama comes from a small town in East Texas called Jefferson, Texas, right? My mother had a really huge family. My mother has 8 sisters. My granddaddy and grandmama had 9 girls. 9. They said my granddaddy kept trying for a boy. That man it was a swing and a miss. A swing and a miss. He had 9 beautiful, strong girls, y'all. But like I said, they lived in East Texas, and they all stayed in this one house growing up.
The Gwynn family right here.
Yeah. Anyway, this is our mother, Mrs. Susie Gwynn. This is our oldest sister, Mrs. Shirley Joe. This is our third oldest sister, Mrs. Nettie Silas.
I guess I'll be the next oldest sister.
This is Joyce Spencer. Your mother, Emily Ann McGinnis. The next youngest sister, Mrs. Spratt.
And the baby. Wanda Thomas.
Okay, everybody want to say?
Or whatever. Dalen, get out of the way.
91.
I think it's a part of the game. I think it shows you enjoy the game so much that you don't feel that the game is such a good.
And I remember when I was little, my grandmother stayed with me and my family until I was about 14 or 15, and she passed away. So I literally grew up with my grandmother. And this is the same grandmother that I did the spirit box session with at her gravesite. So this woman raised me. And I remember from time to time, she would just tell me these stories. She wouldn't really call them ghost stories. She would just tell me these stories that happened to her in her past. And one particular story could be literally verified by multiple people. And that's why I always found it to be so interesting. My grandmother told me that they had this house in East Texas in Jefferson, and all the girls stayed there, and my grandfather. And it was, it wasn't much. It wasn't a lot. So literally there were 3 beds for the 9 girls, 3 girls to each bed. This is back in the day. You know what I mean? That's how it was. And she told me that one night, my youngest aunt, my Aunt Katie, needed to go to the restroom. So she woke up my grandmother. So my grandmother proceeds to take her into, walk her through the house to the restroom, to take her to use the restroom. And she said that this is an old country town. So they were raising chickens. So they had these baby chicks sitting in the kitchen under a big lamp, staying warm. And she said, as my aunt went to use the restroom, my grandmother looks into the kitchen and she sees this man standing in front of the chickens. But she said the man did not have a head. She said the only way that she could tell where he was looking was because he had on overalls with like a button thermal shirt. And by the positioning of the buttons, she could tell where he was looking. And she said this man was standing over these chickens just staring. And she said my grandmother knocked on the door and said, come on, Katie, come out. So my aunt comes out the bathroom. My grandmother grabs her and carries her back to the room. That's it. End of that. The next morning, my grandmother's up. One of my older aunts at the time says, Mama, did you see that man in the house last night? My grandmother looks at her and was like, what man, baby? She said, Mama, I woke up in the middle of the night and there was a man standing at the foot of our bed. And she said, I even tapped Charlie, the other aunt, and she saw him too. Said, but the man didn't have a head, Mama. And Charlie was like, my Aunt Charlie was like, but you could tell where his buttons was on his shirt and he was looking at us. Y'all, my grandmama knew they weren't lying because she had seen the same man earlier that night. So they're terrified at this point. So my grandmother starts asking around. My grandfather starts asking around. And as they're asking around the town, it comes to find out that a man who owned this house previously was actually killed there. He got into some type of dispute and was stabbed and bled out literally on his front living room floor. My grandmother and grandfather went back to this house and they pulled back the flooring, and sure enough, there was a big red stain. And they said no matter how much they tried to scrub it, it just got darker and darker and darker. And literally my aunts verify it. My grandmother, before she passed away, verified it. And I asked, I was like, Nana, what happened to that house? Why I ain't never been to that house? That house burned down. That house burned down. That house burned down. But it's just crazy because now it has me just thinking back to all the stories that my grandmother told me of all the instances where she's seen and been around spirits. And I've started to realize that both of my grandmothers, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, indirectly, I feel like shaped my path to be interested in this stuff. I don't know. Tell me what you think. I don't know. I just want to tell y'all that story. I don't know. We was talking about it over the holidays, and I was just like, wow, that is crazy. My mama verified it, my aunt verified it, and my grandmother, before she passed away, all told the same story. And there's just no reason for everybody to be lying. Unless everybody just be lying. I don't know, man. This is just a little bit about my family. Maybe I'll throw some pictures of my family in here so you can see some of the people I'm talking about. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the story. Yeah, tell me what you think. Could there be a headless man hunting houses in East Texas and Jefferson, Texas? Or is this an old scary story that my grandmama and my auntie and my mama used to tell the kids just to get us to go to bed at night? Let me know in the comment section. Love, love, love.